of the justices
So
with over
how
70
do you
U.S.
decide?
Marshals.
How do you decide which criminal statutes the
If they make an arrest,
All
then
right,
it goes
let's
to the
change
marshal.
topics because our time is limited. We've also seen across the country violent attacks at crisis pregnancy centers by similar left-wing terrorist groups, including one graffiti of a firebomb building said Jane was here. There have been attacks all over the country. And yet, the Department of Justice has not brought these violent criminals to justice. You contrast that. You're a violent criminal and you attack a crisis pregnancy center, that is not a priority in the Biden Department of Justice. Contrast that to Mark Howe, who allegedly interfered with his son's personal space and threatened his son, and he pushed it. Now, in an ordinary world, pushing someone would be maybe a simple misdemeanor assault, but under
Bombings. They are doing it at night and in secret. So, and we have found one group which we did prosecute.
you found one. How many have there been? How many attacks?
There have been a lot, and if you have any information specifically as to who those people are, we would be glad to have that.
Authorized 20 agents going to Mr. Howe's house, and he offered to turn himself in through counsel, but you didn't want that. The Department of Justice wanted to make a show of it. Did you personally authorize it? And do you want to apologize to Mrs. Howe and her 7 children for being terrorized?
Decisions about how to do that are made at the level of FBI agents on scene.
Did you know about it?
I did not know about it until the way you're describing it, and my understanding is the FBI disagrees with that description.
Was it a
Senator's time has expired. I'm going to allow the witness to respond to any of the questions that were asked.
Was it a mistake?
I'm going to chair the committee, Senator. I'm sorry you're not.
You said you'd allow him to respond. I repeated the question I asked, which is, was it a mistake to send 20 agents to arrest him at the crack of dawn?
You had your time.
You just said you're going to allow him to respond. You just said, I'm going to allow him to respond to the question, so I repeated the question. Was it a mistake? That was an pending question.
When I ask, I'll ask the questions I want.
That's the question I'd already asked.
Well,
You just said you'd let him respond.
we're going to let him respond right now. Please don't interrupt him. Thank you.
We've identified the inadequacies of these security systems as posing a threat not just to inmates and staff, but to the broader community. This implicates public safety, and indeed we found that at U.S. Penitentiary Atlanta, failures of systems like this one allowed widespread criminal conduct within the facility, escapes from the facility, putting the entire southeast region at risk, and that's in the words of the BOP's own internal investigators. Our bill is now law, and the department has a deadline upcoming next month to present a plan to Congress for upgrades to strengthen these security systems at federal prisons. So my first question for you, Attorney General, is whether the department is on
Director of the Bureau of Prisons, who is adopting the recommendations that you've made. I believe we are on track to satisfy the requirements of the statute, but I'd be very happy to be sure that she or our staff meet with your staff to ensure that your expectations are being met.
Well, thank you, Attorney General, and I've worked diligently to develop the kind of trusting relationship with the new director. She has a task ahead of her to reform a bureaucracy that's been mismanaged with significant human costs as a result, long predating your tenure. I want to suggest that it's a necessary condition of demonstrating that the department's taking this seriously, that this deadline be met, and that we move forward expeditiously to strengthen these security systems. Remaining on the subject of conditions in prisons, the department announced in September of 2021 that it was conducting a civil investigation, a pattern of practice investigation of conditions of confinement in Georgia's state prisons. That was about 18 months ago. And the abysmal conditions in Georgia's state prisons, which, as in the case of federal facilities, threaten public safety in the surrounding communities and are a major public safety hazard. Those failures of management, in my view, in Georgia's state prison system are appalling. They're life-threatening and have, I believe, resulted in loss of life, and they undermines the deaths in state and local custody. And in our engagements with the